pulls air in. So the inhalation is an active process of muscular contraction. But the inhalation can simply be a letting go. Sorry, the exhalation can simply be a letting go. So we breathe in and let go. Breathe in and let go. Breathe in and just let go. And notice that as you do, there's an automatic tendency for the muscles around the chest and shoulders to relax and release. So you breathe in and just allow the exhalation, the relaxation, the release to occur by itself. You may notice as you do so that the relaxation is cumulative, that with each letting go, each exhalation, there's a tendency to become just a little more relaxed. You may notice that that relaxation around the chest and abdomen and shoulders tends automatically to spread through the rest of the body. Out into the arms and down into the fingers, up into the neck, the jaw, which may just tend to open a little, the face, and the forehead. So breathing in and letting go. You may notice that that relaxation just automatically spreads down from the abdomen into the pelvis, the thighs, the calves, and the feet. Notice just, you might just want to scan awareness through the body, perhaps beginning at the scalp and just scanning down through the body to explore this sense of relaxation. And if you find any areas of tension, you can just let awareness linger there. And in the light of awareness, those tensions may of themselves tend to relax, unravel, and release. And if not, that's just fine. Let them be there. Notice that because of the psychosomatic link, the mind tends to relax along with the body. And if you maintain the spine with just keep it relatively erect and straight. That tends to foster alertness. And then you've cultivated that synthesis of relaxation and alertness, which is optimal for meditation. And notice that you've already discovered one of the great secrets of relaxation, which is that relaxation isn't something we do, it's something we allow. And it will happen by itself if we just allow. Just rest and relax with awareness. And if you become lost into thoughts or fantasies, multiple strategies one can use at that moment of recognition that one has become lost into thought or fantasy. But why don't you experiment now with just simply relaxing out of them? So you notice you become lost into a thought or fantasy, image. Just relax and fall out of it. Back into the awareness which is always already here. And from this foundation of awareness, let's move to a couple of practices slightly more active, and we'll come back to the resting in awareness, but from a deeper place. So first, just take a moment to be grateful for this opportunity of practicing together. Recall what a rare and wonderful gift it is to be able to be together like this and to practice like this. In an ocean of suffering and a sea of distraction, somehow we have the good fortune to be sufficiently free of that suffering and distraction and the occupation to make time for being together, to recognize the value of this kind of practice, this kind of community. And somehow we have been graced with what the Tibetans call a free and well-favored life, free of the major obstacles to practice and awakening, obstacles of illness and extreme poverty and deprivation, of religious and political systems which would criminalize this kind of activity. Well favored with resources and time and health and interest, well favored with teachers and teachings who can transmit these practices to us. These are our free and well-favored lives. And I invite you to reflect for just a few minutes on all the circumstances that had to come together before you could sit in meditation today. Just reflect over the enormous array of benefits and blessings, all the things that had to be just so, just in alignment, available before you could sit in meditation this morning. Everything from food to farmers to health to sunshine to democratic society. It's an endless list. Why don't you just give yourself the gift of a few minutes to reflect on all the blessings that had to align to be able to sit in meditation right now. And think of the boundless network of beings who make our sitting possible. everyone from farmers to truck drivers to technologists who created Zoom to people who created computers and the people who fed them and the people who housed those people. As you really begin to reflect on all the circumstances that had to come together and all the people whose contributions were essential to allowing us to commune in this way, you realize that we are the beneficiaries of a boundless network of contributory actions. Allow yourself to open to the recognition of this boundless network of beneficence. And allow your heart to open in gratitude. Gratitude to specific individuals and to the boundless network of blessings in people and creatures, numberless, nameless. Yet all of whom have made our practice this morning possible. You might want to notice how gratitude elicits joy and the desire to share that joy, desire to share our good fortune. it and recognize if it has spontaneously arisen, or deliberately bring to awareness the recognition how wonderful it would be if everyone could be as fortunate as we are. How wonderful it would be if this great ocean of suffering could be alleviated. And how wonderful it would be if we could support, enable, help people to be free of suffering and filled with joy. And how wonderful it would be if we could be the instruments for them to awaken from dreams of fear and sorrow and suffering. Awaken to reality. And recognize that that desire for others to be free of suffering, to be blessed with in every possible way, is a natural, joyful expression of an open heart. Notice that the desire to be an instrument, a, a force, a supporter, an instrument to relieve the suffering of others and to bring them joy and awakening. That is a natural expression of the open heart. So we recognize that the desire to be an optimal instrument of service, the desire to bring help and healing and joy and love to the world is a very natural, beautiful, and joyful expression of an open heart and our deep nature. And not a self-sacrifice, but enlightened self-interest. And so the question naturally arises, what would it take for me to become, to be an optimal instrument of service and awakening? It's a natural question that arises. The answer from the great sages of our tradition and many traditions is that in order to be an optimal service of an optimal instrument of service and awakening, we will want to awaken ourselves and cultivate our various capacities and virtues such as love and kindness and ethics and compassion and joy. And of course, this is the Bodhisattva aspiration, to awaken and refine and cultivate our capacities so as to awaken and help and heal and refine all others. And then there's the beautiful recognition that the Bodhisattva aspiration is not some stratospheric ideal that we force ourselves into. Rather, it's what we most deeply want. We recognize that the Bodhisattva aspiration is the aspiration, the desire that is most fulfilling, most rewarding, most satisfying, and what we most deeply want. That recognition just means recognizing who we really are, what we truly want, and releasing any unworthiness. So now allow yourself to recognize the reality, the truth of the fact that what you most deeply want is to come to the fullness of your humanity, to realize who you truly are, to strengthen everything that's good in you. And to do that so that all other conscious creatures can have the same recognition and the same realization. So now allow that recognition to sink in. Allow yourself to truly acknowledge the extent to which you truly wish to be all that you can be, to be all that you are. To recognize your true nature, and to use those recognitions for the welfare and awakening of all. And as with the recognition of any ideal, two things can happen. There can either be a joyful recognition of, yes, this is what I most truly want, or there can be the arising of blocks and barriers, feelings such as it's too much, a feeling of overwhelm, or a feeling of unworthiness. And if those arise, wonderful. It's a chance to bring them into the light of awareness and to allow them to heal. So if there's any sense of unworthiness or overwhelm, just recognize that those are limiting beliefs. They're just thoughts. And they only limit you to the extent you believe them. Beautiful. So now take a moment to recognize that all these reflections have been occurring within awareness. The awareness was here all along. All those reflections, aspirations, gratitude, joy, any barriers or blocks, they all arose within awareness. Notice awareness filling the body. Notice that awareness in and permeating the body. Now notice the body in awareness. Become aware of your surroundings, the environment, the earth, the atmosphere, the cosmos. Now become aware of your environment, the earth, the cosmos within awareness. Everything arising within awareness. Everything in awareness to be blessed by your awareness out of your grateful heart. So we began reflecting on the ocean of suffering and challenge in the world around us. And our good fortune. We reflected on the Tibetan recognition of a free and well-favored life, of all the things that have to come together for us to be able to practice. We recognize that as In the simple recognition of our good fortune, there's an automatic tendency for gratitude to arise, and with it, joy and generosity. When we reflect on our good fortune, we automatically want to share it. And we recognize how wonderful it would be if all others could share our good fortune, and if we could be the instruments for their good fortune. Which naturally raises the question of how could we do that most effectively? And so we rediscover for ourselves the bodhisattva aspiration. We recognize it's a natural expression of a thankful heart and of our true nature. And that the whole process, gratitude, contribution, service, cultivating our capacities, recognizing our true nature in order to optimally help and heal and serve and bring joy to others, is a joyful process, an automatic one when we see things appropriately, correctly. So please, would anyone like to share their experience or comment or question? How are we doing this, Jeff?
Yeah, if anyone has a question for Lama Roger, yeah, you can just type the question in the chat. I guess, Lama Roger, would it be okay if people ask the question in person? We could do that too.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Questions, comments, sharings, reflections.
Okay, cool. There's one, yeah, so Eileen has a question. I've asked her to unmute.
Eileen, would you like to unmute yourself or whatever, yeah, whatever the technology requires?
Okay.
She just unmuted, yeah. Yeah. Eileen, did you want to ask do you want to ask a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm trying to take the video off, but it's not going.
You don't have, yeah, the video's not on. You mean you want it on?
If I could, it's okay. I could just talk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for some reason, yeah, you're try that.
Okay. Well, I'll just talk. Hi, thank you so much for the teachings. I'm talking to you today from New York.
Wow.
I work with seniors. I specialize in working with seniors, and two of my seniors, age 90 and 93, have COVID. And they've been, the suffering is, I just can't, it's been going on a month, but they're at home. And one of them has Alzheimer's, and they're just, the wife is really freaking out daily about the world and the suffering, and her husband, it's just, and all I do is listen. I'm trying to, that's what I'm mostly doing, is holding the space for their pain. And I can't sleep sometimes at night because I'm so worrying about them.
Mm.
And then, so anyway, I could go on and on. It's just been about a month of this with bringing in, they have aides that work for them, that are very angry that they're putting themselves in harm's danger with COVID and being paid so little. And then they're taking it out on the 93-year-old and not taking care of him. It's been hard. And then we've gotten other people. So in terms of what I'm doing, do you have any advice about how else to alleviate suffering when I'm seeing so much right in front of me?
Yeah. Well, first off, several things. First, thank you so much for what you're doing. And thank you for the heart with which you're doing it. Your pain is an expression of your compassion and your care. So and I think all of us would want to acknowledge you for that. Second, one of the really challenging aspects of the First Noble Truth is recognizing first the extent of suffering, and second, that there are many circumstances in which we can do so little to relieve it. We can't take there are just a lot of situations in which we can't take people's pain away from them, at least all of it. There are a lot of circumstances in which we can't cure, but we can do what you're doing. We can listen and hold a space and try to provide a caring, compassionate holding space to the best extent we can. And we can also recognize that we all have our limitations. And just as the caretakers are frustrated and upset and angry, so we too will have those reactions at times. So part of the care and compassion, of course, is towards ourselves. In terms of doing service, it's important to recognize our own emotional limits. There's a beautiful saying I learned from a psychiatry trainee, the instructions in the airlines are put your own oxygen mask on first. So if you're not sleeping well at night, then the question would be, what could you do to relax and release a little before you go to bed? What could you do to just let some of that go so you can, your own well-being, but also so you can be as effective for others. And anything I say will be insufficient. Just as anything you say and do will not relieve all the suffering. So, but I can certainly thank you. I do.
Thank you.
I think you might be just nice if you let in for a moment that I suspect every single person on this call is wishing you well right now and thanking you for what you're doing. So thank you. Anyone else? We have just a few minutes.
Sean.
Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful meditation. During the meditation, when towards the end about a thought of self, about being unworthy, thank you for that guided part there. And is there a difference between a thought and a feeling of unworthiness? And does it stem from a feeling and become a thought, or is it a thought that becomes a feeling that we feel? And if there's a difference in that or not during the meditation?
Yeah, I can give a response, but I would invite you to take that as an exploration for yourself and just look at the interaction and mutual interplay between thoughts and emotions. And I think, and just to give some hints, I think what you'll find, if you're really sensitive, is that there can be background emotions and feelings which call forth corresponding thoughts. And if you're really watching closely and a thought arises such as, I can't do this, it's too much, that will elicit feelings of inadequacy or hopelessness or powerlessness, and then call forth further thoughts. So it's like a chain reaction. And that's the nature of samsara, a chain reaction. So our challenge as practitioners is to catch those as soon as we can before they spin out and spin us out. And it's very useful to recognize that thoughts of inadequacy, unworthiness are literally just, they're literally limiting beliefs, which are thoughts. But beliefs are very powerful. Beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies. And Henry Ford, a great American psychologist who also made cars, said, those who believe they can do something and those who believe they can't are both right. It's a very powerful insight. So with our practice, we're looking to catch those kind of thoughts as soon as they arise. And if you don't catch them, it's like the thought arises, oh, I can't do that, and you feel depressed and hopeless, inadequate. But if you do catch it, it's like, oh, that's a funny thought. It has no effect. So key. So again, invite you to do your own exploration there, and just suggest that it's a valuable practice, and you'll find an interesting interplay between thoughts and feelings. And it's really valuable to recognize anytime we have a sense of inadequacy or unworthiness or hopelessness, that's a limiting belief, and we don't have to buy into it. Thank you very much. Jeff, I think it's time for you to come on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lama Roger, and thank you so much for your teaching and meditation today. Yeah, it's really beautiful and really insightful. Thank you. And just to everyone, I hope you have a good week. I'm just going to post in the chat a few things. And as always, if you guys can feel inspired to donate a little bit to the foundation, it actually really helps us reach more people in this virtual world. This year, we're not actually going to do any in-person retreats, which is the first time in 30 years. Actually, the virtual environment has been quite good, but it's not in person. So, you know, we've had to make a big adjustment. So anything you can do to help us out there would be greatly appreciated, including these ongoing town halls. So just want to wish everyone a great day, and thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you, Lama Roger, and have a beautiful day out there in California. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.